Ooh, that's lovely.
It's nice.
Yeah.
I don't think they make them in 9s, fortunately / unfortunately.
Really?
Yeah.
No dragon fruit 9s?
I was on the website too, and I saw not everything is in a 9.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
You know, it's also strikes. They have like there's a whole other Velo product category that's like 7s and 4s. And I bought one of them on accident once, and I hated it. It was not the Velo I have come to know.
Really?
Yeah.
That's weird. Why do you have 6s and 7s?
I exactly. It was a whole different. It was a different tin too. Like it wasn't.
Might have been a European thing.
Might have been. I don't know.
They probably munching on 4s over there.
No, dude.
Oh, that's
they
true.
like
No, it's
heavies.
the opposite. Yeah.
They like the
64
heavies.
milligram.
Yeah.
When I was in Thailand, I went into a shop to get some Zins and saw like 32, 64. And I'm like, what unit is housing a 64 mil Velo or something like?
My fingers would tingle for days after that.
Yeah.
I don't think I would make it, honestly. I think that I'd make it about a minute on a 64.
There'd be a cardiac event involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Resting heart rate is now 95.
I don't know why I just feel so stressed.
I don't know. I don't need to do cardio anymore. I just take 64s.
The pounds melt off. The life expectancy of this heart is 45 years, but the pounds melt off.
Well, so speaking of Bangkok, do you want to tell them how you kicked my ass this morning?
We exchanged some blows. You caught me a couple times.
Yeah, I mean, we got some fists flying.
Yeah.
I was a little tepid on the kicks. Just, I was trying not to damage anything in the feet. Those little feet bones can be fickle. And I'm supposed to. I got a big squat planned tomorrow, so I didn't want to jeopardize that. But dude, it was fun. I have not, back in the day did some basement boxing, but that was probably at least 10 years ago at this point. So first time like doing any kind of sparring in a long time. That was pretty sweet, and definitely had a little bit of a deer in the headlights moment at first, just like, all right, like, Dalton, how do I kickbox? Like, where do I start?
But you picked it up quickly, like just from sparring, like good defensive instinct, good reaction time. So it's so much fun and such a crazy workout. The cardio is sneaky.
It is. It really is. And just like before we started this, I got up and went to the bathroom and I started feeling it. Like, it's like, oh man, like my upper back, my shoulders, just from keeping my hands up, for 30 minutes. I was like, ooh, that got sneaky on me.
Yeah.
So that was good. That was a nice way to get a morning sweat, kind of tune up from a big dinner and drinks out last night, start feeling a little bit sharper up here. So that was really cool. And it's they're valuable skills to have, as a bigger dude. I've run into this multiple times. I just heard on another podcast. I don't remember which one it was, but, they're talking about like dudes always trying to pick a fight with the biggest dude at the bar. It's like guys just want to they want to be the champ. They want to try and come for the belt. And I never heard anyone else talk about it, but I've talked about it for years. Because, in the South, it never really happened to me. There's always some big ass football dudes, whatever bar you go to. I'm never the biggest dude at the bar in the South. I go up to New York, pretty decent chance I'm the biggest dude at a bar. And back when I would like go up to New York and see friends, that would happen to me all the time. And I found myself like talking my way out of these situations like pretty frequently. And I was just like, damn, like, you really don't want to end up in a bar fight. Like, it's such a bad situation. But I do think that you've at least got I did say, I was like, all right, Dalton at least has the skills. If he found himself in a predicament, he would handle himself.
Yeah, I'm under no delusion that I'm some Bruce Lee master of the martial arts, but have spent a bunch of time in the mecca of Muay Thai and really threw myself into it. And I think I'm a pretty capable person when it comes to that. And it is, to your point, like before I went to fight camp my first time, I had not hit or been hit since junior year of college.
That was a pretty good run.
Yeah.
We might have to ask about this story another time, though. It's like that's pretty old, Dalton.
I remember it like it was yesterday. But there's something to be said about like, okay, I know that I can throw fists and I know that I can eat punches. Yeah, it's like, when's the last time you've been punched in the face? When's the last time you threw a punch at somebody else? And it's like, the last thing I ever want to do is get into an actual fight.
Yeah.
Like a public fight. Dangerous. Bad stuff happens.
I saw a public brawl the last time I was in Miami, walking down to the Lowe's, and two guys were like one of the side streets off Collins, two guys just throwing haymakers at each other. And I just power walked by, I was on the other side of the street. I was like, mind your own business, Tommy. Mind your own business.
I ain't seen nothing.
Oh man, that was brutal. Like, yeah, just a situation you do not want to find yourself in. But I could tell, I was like, oh yeah, you're especially me, like this being my real first time as an adult doing any, kickboxing, definitely had like the fear of being hit. And then you get hit and you realize, oh, you're good. And I'm like, oh, that fear does not register on you.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, like Dalton's not afraid of getting some love taps.
No, I like it. If it ain't rough, it ain't right.
He seems to like this a little too much, actually.
Yeah. It's a beautiful blended of my sick twistedness. I love it. It's so much fun. I love sparring. And it forces you to be present. So my mind is just single track, like kill, kill, kill. But in a good way when you're sparring, right? You're never actually trying to hurt somebody when you're sparring versus actually taking a fight. But yeah, Muay Thai has been the best thing that I've gotten into, period, in my life, probably, like from a physical standpoint, like physically, mentally, emotionally challenging. It's been great. So much fun.
Well, tell us the origin story of Muay Thai, because you kicked it off with a bang.
Yeah, I am not known for balance, and this was definitely off the edge of the cliff jump that I took. I had no clue what I was getting into. Like, I read it on paper, but a couple days in, was like, this is way more than I thought it was going to be, way different. It's just, so I was at, the company you and I were at, I was there 6 weeks after college until just after my 30th birthday. And I left the end of January. So beginning of December, I got to the point where, we had a great year. We had a record year. I was happy, can leave on my own terms. Everything's good. Had a nice 2 months of 30th birthday trip. It was great. I was leaving. It was a good social environment at the office and kind of a good way to wind down and close that chapter of life. But I knew I wouldn't actually leave unless I had something on the horizon. Knew I didn't want to jump right into a job, wanted to kind of take time and figure out what I wanted to do. So I was just sitting on the couch one night. I'd put on 15 pounds in the fall, had never been to Asia. I was like, can I kill two birds with one stone? And half an hour later, I'm like, it's Kong Sitha Muay Thai in Bangkok. And I'm like, oh, this seems good. Booked it. And yeah, 2 weeks after I left the shop I was at, on a plane to Bangkok, got there 11 o'clock at night, touchdown, and was ready to show up at 7 a.m. the next day for the first session. Crazy. 6 hours a day, 6 days a week, 2 sessions in the Bangkok heat. It's like I mean, technically, I guess they have summer, spring, winter, fall, but it's just always summer. It's like South Beach summer there all the time. It's hot, it's humid, every day it's over 100. And a lot of the facilities there are open air, like covered but open air.
Yeah.
So you don't have the sun beating down on you. Depending on the angle, you do have some sun coming in, and that matters in the afternoon session.
But this is not like like an air conditioned facility where you're working hard, but like relatively pampered. You're pretty much in the elements.
Yeah, it is. It is an adventure.
So what was, cause all right, you hadn't done any Muay Thai before.
Nope.
Not a novice to the sport. What was the moment like of arriving at the camp and you see guys that are going full speed? And is this like oh God, what have I gotten myself into? Or is this like hell yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get some.
It really was more of the hell yeah. Like I walked up to that first day of camp, like ego completely out the door. Like I know nothing. I'm showing up to learn. So I was at a good spot with that. But at the same time, like I show up and I'm learning how to properly get the mechanics in order to throw punches and kicks and elbows and knees. And then up in the ring next to me are people going after it that are just shredded animals who are just wailing on each other and so fast. Like you're struggling to process the speed at which those hands are flying.
Yeah.
And just with anything, it's consistency and reps. It's just like more time. And if you're doing something 6 hours a day, 6 days a week, and you're learning in a really structured environment where, that's, you show up and you do it and you will get better.
Also, what a really cool way to just get so immersed in something that's so different from your everyday life.
Yeah.
Like that is a pretty big 180 from, the corporate sales world.
Yeah, it really taking the work part out of the brain. I didn't show up looking for a transformative experience, but that's exactly what it ended up being, like physically, mentally, emotionally, even spiritually. And I think that, I look at the first 5 days the first time I went, and I was just really stripped down in the sense that I was physically exhausted, mentally exhausted. Like I was trying to figure out like, oh, I need to drink more water and I need to add electrolytes. I need to eat way more food. Like my system was still adjusting to this completely, going from working out some, which was mostly running at that time, doing some running and at an office all day, to now you're like kind of training in a professional athlete sense from a time and structure standpoint, right?
Yeah, that's a huge jump.
Yeah, like that's my job is now learning Muay Thai and like trying to become a fighter. And like
how did the flight home feel?
The flight home, after the first week, you really get over most of the aches. It hurts to roll over in bed, so I'm just going to lay here because truly it's not worth the pain I'm going to incur from trying to roll on my side. About a week in, that starts to dissipate, and then your body just gets hardened and hardened and hardened. So the flight home was good in that sense that, and two, after camp, I had some time in downtown Bangkok, nice hotel. I went, let's have a little... Let's have a little recuperation post-fight camp.
Soothe the aching joints.
Yeah. So we did the coconut poolside deal for a while and and then jumped back. So it was well rested, but got in like the cardio, like I said, so sneaky. So like cardio was at a crazy level.
Mm-hmm.
And second time when I went, I knew what I was signing up for. I knew what I needed to do right out of the gate to set myself up for success, to be able to get the most out of it. So doing those things helped me collapse the adjustment.
Yeah. Going back second time, you physically, that you're going to be able to get to that level quicker. And you can kind of go in, I would imagine, with a little bit more of a game plan. You already have a little bit of a baseline of skills and can go in there a little bit more tactically, like, hey, this is really what am here to work on. This is what I want to see improve about my, my fighting ability, which is awesome.
Yeah, the first trip was setting the foundation. The second one was really honing the blade. And it's like you got some technique, and if you have good technique, you can go faster, and you really start to jump up levels after you get the foundation built.
So it's a recommended for anyone who is sabbatical, interested in a sabbatical that's a little on the maybe masochistic side.
Yeah, if you're a masochist, you like a little adventure and want to eat the best food of your life, like book a fight camp in Thailand.
Yeah, what's the general scoop on Bangkok?
I've traveled a bunch throughout my life, country-wise, a ton in Europe. I love Paris. Does all the stereotypical things for me. So like Paris has always been my sweet spot. But Bangkok won me over. Like between fight camp and I think, it's tough to kind of separate the transformative experience I had from that place when I look at it. But so that definitely influences it some. But the sites are beautiful. Like I like going through museums, seeing beautiful buildings, like the architecture, the food. Food is insane. I've tried to find there's actually one friend of mine who I met the first time. He lives in Midtown Manhattan and works in PE, and he and I met, and I've seen him when I've gone up to Manhattan a couple times since, and we usually try to find a Thai restaurant. And yeah, there's a dish in particular. Actually, that middle frame, those are like some of 3 menus framed in the kitchen, and the first one is from Arpège in Paris. It's like 3 Michelin star, love the chef, like really checks that box. Just like stellar meal. The second one is it's the handwritten receipt from across the street from the fight camp, where this mom and a couple people from her family had a restaurant outside of a convenience store, and just open air, whipping it up. The best, if I could only eat one dish for the rest of my life, it's pad Krapao Gai. Like that particular dish, so good. Like holy basil chicken. And yeah, the flavors, insane. I've tried to replicate it frustratingly. I'm ready to like book a flight to go back over there and be like, all right, close up shop for the day, please. Like teach me how to make this dish. I want to make it. I've had it. There was a place in DC that was the closest I've had so far. Mm-hmm. But the food really is just, it's on a different level.
And thank God, because when you're working like that constantly, you need to like the food is sometimes like the carrot at the end of the stick that keeps you going when you're active like that. Like if you're moving for 6-7 hours a day, working like that, sometimes there's a point where you're just like, I'm just thinking about the food. I'm thinking about the meal at the end of this. That's going to be so good.
Big payoff. So as far as trips go, like what are some of your short hop in a car trips to kind of disconnect, not jump off the edge of the cliff? I quit my job, I'm leaving to the other side of the world, but your short trips.
Yeah, and I can't say I've gotten to that. I haven't gotten to that point.
Trips, and then what are your jump on plane?
Yeah, we do a lot more short trips. So like Asheville and Blowing Rock are pretty common, easy trips for us just because it's driving distance. And I mean, the mountains are beautiful. You can get out and hike. You've got so many great driving roads out there too. So being able to get up and get a coffee in the morning and just go drive for, 30, 40 minutes, an hour is so nice. I love being able to do that and just find great, cool roads that you don't otherwise get to drive on. Let's see, coming down here to Greenville, that's, whether we're staying with you or if we're grabbing an Airbnb or a hotel, we've had so many good memories in the city, and it's easy to get to, and it feels so, it's just a city with a lot of unique feel and a lot of unique charm. So it's fun. There's a shockingly high number of great places to eat for a city this size. So it really outkicks its coverage on that front. Those are some of the really easy driving ones. Kind kind of something that requires a plane, going down to Florida, go see my parents. Like it's pretty easy to fly out on a Thursday or a Friday morning and, get 2 rounds of golf in and come back on Sunday. And then usually a few times a year, try and get up and see friends in, the New York, New Jersey area. Love being able to go into the city and just get a whiff of the energy. I just think New York City it's like a really, really amazing. Like if I could have that in a bottle and just whiff it every time I was feeling down, I would love that. It just gets me hyped up.
Yeah, New York is at the top of my jump on a plane 2-3 day weekend trip. One of the few directs out of Greenville for Delta, so that already narrows the list. But I'm with you on the energy piece. Just being in that city, I'm not sure it's a place I would live pace wise, but I love visiting. I could go once a month and be a happy bear.
I think that's a really nice way to experience New York, because living there is a genuine pain in the ass. Not something that I wish to experience firsthand, but being able to come in and, get what you want out of the city and go, I think is very appealing. We had a big trip this year out to Munich and Florence, which was an amazing recharge. Taking 10 days to go and do a couple of cities that we'd always wanted to do was just so much fun. And I'd been to Germany. I had studied abroad in Berlin, but had never been to Munich. So seeing Munich and experiencing, it's a way more polished city than Berlin. So totally different feel, but really cool. And, as someone who has a passion for, grilled meats and beer, Munich is right up my alley. And same with Florence. The steaks that they will feed you in Florence are out of control. Every single, you just walk into a pork store and it smells incredible, just like salty pork hanging from the ceiling. I could just die happy in one of those. But yeah, so you had New York. What are some other quick hitter trips for you?
Yeah, Charleston's always high on the list. 3-hour drive. I grew up going there a lot. I grew up in Myrtle's Inlet, which is not even an hour and a half north of Charleston. So we were there a bunch. Love Charleston. Coming up to Charlotte to hang with you and your wonderful wife. We need to get another hibachi night on the calendar. Hibachi.
We do, yeah. Do we divulge our business idea here? I guess so.
I think so.
Now we're game planning a little topless hibachi joint. I think this could be a hot ticket.
You're going to get me on a list. Tell me I don't need to be on a list. I'm sure I'm already on. So I don't need to be on any more lists. I'm done. Kind of Miyabi meets Twin Peaks.
Yeah, exactly.
Deal.
Topless might not be the way. Like bikini tops is more,
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's got to be family friendly.
There might be like a coastal Florida. There's definitely a coastal Florida appetite for that.
Definitely. Honestly, I was thinking Myrtle Beach was like hit the nail on the head.
Actually, you're right.
They're tossing shrimp in people's mouths. They're lighting the grill on fire, and they're in bikinis. It's fun.
I need to stop thinking about this as a legitimate track that we go down. Although if we do get into the food and beverage industry, it's probably one of the closer guaranteed W's. Myrtle Beach for that.
Yeah, right? Not bad.
Yeah.
Restaurateurs.
Can we call ourselves restaurateurs like that? Yeah, we can. And we will.
Technically, it serves food.
I like Atlanta's near and dear to my heart.
Ooh, yeah.
Atlanta.
Atlanta's got some good stuff. We talked about some of the steakhouses in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And I will say Atlanta is home to one of my favorite places, which is the Porsche Experience Center. which
Heaven on
is
earth.
just, man, if you have any remote interest in cars, it is the best $1,000 you can spend.
Truly.
Just go get 90 minutes of wheel time in the Porsche of your choice. Like, we are not sponsored by Porsche or the Porsche Experience Center, but
Not yet.
man, would I love to be.
Yeah, that would be, we don't take cash, we take track hours.
Yeah, like you can pay us in Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2 tires.
Please, as you were inspecting my tires with 8,200 miles on them, and you're like, damn.
A number on those. Oh my God.
I think it would be 10,000 miles per tire set kind of guy.
I just had that same, had new tires put on, and I got about 13,000 miles out of my last set.
That makes me feel better.
Yeah. And that was not as high spec of a tire as what you've got, but it was an ultra high performance all season tire was what I had on there initially. And I thought I was going to get more than 13,000. I thought I could eke like 20,000 out, but then just out of nowhere one day I had two incredibly massive bulges in the sidewalls and was like, yeah, all right, they're done. They're done. But yeah, the Porsche Experience Center is absolutely incredible. And, the combination of stuff they have to do there is great. Like the actual handling circuit, the strip to do the launch control on, the low friction surfaces is just like such a playground. And you've been how many times have you been now?
I've been 4 times. I've driven on the track twice, I think.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And what cars were you driving?
I did a 911 GTS, and when you and I went, I was in a Targa, pop the top. That was fun.
Yeah, the Targa that's a classy choice. Gentleman's sports car indeed.
Yeah, you were in, was it a Shark Blue?
Yeah, the Shark Blue Boxster Spider. With that 4-liter naturally aspirated flat 6, 8,000 red line. That's a special piece of kit right there. Yeah. Just pinging that off red line constantly. Launching that car was so sick because, I mean, in the Boxsters, that engine is so close to you. It's like right behind your head. And so you're standing on the brake, launch controls engaged, pin the throttle. It just shoots up to like 5,000 RPM. And then you just take off. And for what that, it's not like that powerful of a car, like 400-ish horsepower. For how that thing puts its power down is just so impressive. You're pulling like, I think I saw like 1.1 Gs pushing you back when that car launched, which really says a lot. That's not that much power to do something like that. So
yeah,
pretty sweet.
So much fun.
So you've done a lot of like all the travel and some of these experiences and stuff. Do you feel like that has given you some professional longevity?
For sure. Yeah, I needed it. I think I didn't realize it at the time, but in hindsight, I was definitely at a point of burnout, not necessarily from like an hours standpoint, but I was just burned out, like needed a change of scenery. And trips have always been really rejuvenating. Like I love taking a weekend trip, going down to Charleston. Like I really recharge my batteries and come back fresh. So I kind of have to keep something on the calendar and in the Delta My Trip section to feel like there's always kind of a recharge light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah, have some balance.
Look forward to during the day-to-day slog.
Yeah, and two, like the first sabbatical especially, like I had just turned 30, and so I was in this zone of a lot of self-work going on, and getting over to Thailand just skyrocketed that. And so it was a really good phase of life to take some time away and just put the pedal down on self-development, physically, mentally, emotionally. So yeah, it's been experiences like that have been so positive for the self-work, the break, the reset, the recharge, whether it's a short trip or a long one, and then able to show up closer to optimal state every day because of it.
Sure. That's I mean, I haven't done anything as, kind of long and immersive as, your sabbaticals, but I think there's just so much perspective you gain when you see the world, that even if you're just going for a weekend or a week, like, to get out of your comfort zone, one, leave a ton of your shit behind and just live out of a suitcase for a week, is a nice reframing of perspective. Like, it just shows you, one, that, like, you don't need whatever you convince yourself you need right back home. It's like, no, you're tougher than you think you are. You can live out of a suitcase for a little while and you'll be just fine. So there's a little bit of that, like, shedding of the ego that goes on even with just, like, relatively normal travel. And then you see so many people doing things that they're passionate about when you travel to cool places. And that I love. That was one of the things that struck me the most way back in college when I was in Berlin. And just seeing in a city like that, there's so many people that just day in and day out are really passionate about what they do. And when you're just there, vacationing, like, yeah, that's not necessarily you're not, like, super interested in other people's work, but it's just inspiring to see that. And I always take that away, whenever I go somewhere cool where there's, someone that might be really passionate about whatever they're doing. Like in Florence, it was like a lot of the fashion and leather shops and the food. Just, you see people that are living relatively simply and giving it their all in something that's, like, at least from my perspective, like, not that large of a percentage of the population is really engaging with, but they're still doing it and doing it really, really well.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, I have some kind of positive takeaway from that.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. Yeah, and traveling in general, like, I was fortunate to travel a bunch overseas when I was a kid, and, like, the different perspectives it gives you, and just, like, the world's so big, so beautiful, so many places, different people, cultures, foods, and, like, not enough time in this lifetime to see all the places that you want to see.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. You're really good about, like, consciously taking time to do that, and I'm all right about it. Every year, usually we'll try and get something big on the calendar. This year we've had more than prior years, which has been great, and we'll keep that up for hopefully the foreseeable future. Just doing a couple European spots this year. Just got back from a week in Seattle, which was really, really cool. Really hadn't experienced the Pacific Northwest yet, so I liked it. There was a lot of cool stuff going on out there, and just what a beautiful, beautiful place. Just mountains and trees and lakes and all kinds of nature. Do you think that there really is, like, a great mass burnout issue with people right now?
That's tough. I guess broadly, societally, maybe yes. Like, customer experience has gone down the drain since COVID, and I think a big function of that, or a big reason why, is, like, a lot of companies do more with less,
Yeah.
personnel wise, especially, like, retail, food and beverage, those types of roles.
No doubt.
So I think there, yes, and kind of the white collar professional services world, I'm like, no. Like,
No.
do your job. This quiet quitting stuff, quiet staying. It's like, we should just do the job. We were talking about this the other night. Like, you're going to show up. You got to be kind of, whether you're in an office or remote, you got to be online. You got to be working, or like you got to be there. It's like, why don't you just do the job and be successful, and figure out balance and stuff along the way. But I think, for some industries, I'm like, gosh, like probably overworked, underpaid, burnt out generally. But like in our sphere, nah, I think, you manage it. And I have been burned out in the past, and you just go through that journey and figure out how to balance stuff and keep pushing ahead.
Yeah. No, that's the thing that I always think about when I think about this is like one thing that they say accelerates burnout is like clunky systems and processes. And I think that's oftentimes, some or oftentimes there's just one little kink in the whole system that sours people on like the bigger picture. If there's just one process that you have to deal with, or one database that you have to use, or one whatever it is that sucks and that's spoiling the entire thing, like it's so much easier to just obsess over that versus understand that the bigger picture could potentially be really good. And the fact of the matter is, people tend to just talk more about what they can complain about. Like it's easy, lower hanging fruit conversationally. And people just gravitate towards things they can complain about. It's the same reason why like the angriest voices are usually the loudest. And it's no different, I think, with the burnout issue. Because, and I think that now we've platformed it in such a way that it became a little bit, like, oh, if you throw your hands up and say, I'm burned out, it's like, oh no, like we can't do anything with you. Like you're burned out. We all, you get like an outpouring of empathy and all this sort of stuff, which I don't necessarily think is always the right reaction. I think the better reaction is usually asking some thoughtful questions about why someone or why a group of people is feeling that way, and then trying to identify the processes that could be making them feel that way. Because if you're getting good outcome, it's possible to still get burned out while experiencing good outcomes. It is, but it's more likely that you're getting burned out while experiencing bad outcomes. And if we can fix processes that change the outcomes, then you're probably not going to be as burned out.
Yeah, that's really well said. As you were just speaking through some of those points, I was like listening, but some thoughts were jumping in my head about that in relation to where I've been at points in my career, with maybe teetering on the edge of feeling burned out, or like having some burnout going. It's like there's always, if you strip it back, it's not the whole mountain. It's a couple of trails that are really the root source of frustration or whatever angst is going on.
Right. Yeah. And that's like, I think you get to a certain point where there's always some element of a burnout monkey on your shoulder. And sometimes it's, just a happy little chimpanzee. And sometimes it's a great big angry gorilla. And, you feed the burnout monkey enough bananas, and usually those bananas are commission checks. And guess what? You've still got a happy monkey on your shoulder.
That's a beautiful way to put it. It's always there. Because like you're grinding constantly, so the monkey's always there. Yep. But yeah, it's a monkey or gorilla, and keep feeding it bananas.
Especially in sales, like we are outcome based, right? We talk about this constantly. As the scoreboard speaks for itself. The scoreboard is what matters the most at the end of the day, and that's obviously oversimplifying it, right? You maybe you can get lucky and post some big numbers on some Bluebird deals, but by and large, you got to run a good sales process in order for that to be reliable, a consistent, reliable outcome. But it's pretty rare that you see the guys at the top of the scoreboard complaining about being burned out. They might complain about specific things that need to improve, but that's a different conversation, and I think a much more productive one.
Yeah, definitely. From folks that you've seen, like different stories and cases, like the decision to stay versus leave somewhere.
Yeah, like if you're at that burnout, if you're sincerely at that point of burnout, and trying to assess if there's if the patient is worth saving.
Like what are some of the red flag signs that you've seen of someone who's like, this person's like off the edge of the cliff, and like this is just not a healthy, productive environment for them to exist in anymore?
Yeah, I mean, body language is the very first thing that you usually can start reading pretty quickly. Just starting to get quieter, starting to just have that shut off, defeated body language is usually sign number one. Like, it's one of those things where sometimes you have rose tinted glasses on and don't want to believe that this person that was doing really well, or may have had a lot of promise, or may have been doing really well at one point, is experiencing that. And so it's like, don't necessarily want to like address it early and, make them think that, like, make them, if you tell someone, oh, something seems off about them, and they're like, what are you talking about? I was fine. And, now they're all, up in their own head. So you don't necessarily want to cause that. But I think more oftentimes is if you start to see it in the body language, you're probably right.
Yeah. And I think I've gone through this with a couple of direct reports over the years, like some emotional outbursts in the professional setting. And it's like, clearly there's something going on here. We got to figure out if it's a personal thing, then, you can have some time and space to figure it out. But then if it's a professional thing, like back to your point on, let's figure out what it is. What's the root cause? What's the root issue here? But we gotta have something to work with if somebody is externally clearly past the point.
And I do think that on a certain level, you just have to have the mindset of, you have to convince yourself that you are destined to be a winner. Because if you don't, and you get yourself in those situations, just the negative self-talk, like I'm sure you've heard guys go through this before, where the level of negative self-talk is just shutting out all of the potential for a good outcome. And then there always becomes another excuse as to why they can't win enough clients, they can't close enough leads, they can't close enough deals. Like, they can rationalize and justify anything because they've already decided in their mind that they're not going to win. And that's really like you got to reframe that. It's like, well, where do you want to be in life? Like, do you want to just plug into something that you don't care about for 40, 50, 60 hours a week? Or do you want to plug in and show up and win for yourself? Like, that's kind of a bigger philosophical question that everyone needs to answer for themselves.
Yeah, I've fortunately had really good retention across teams I've had, but by virtue of large numbers, I've had plenty of conversations where people come to me and say they're either leaving or they're like eye on the door. And I always want to get to, like, what are the real root drivers here? If it's you thing, whether it's a move or, personal life doesn't mesh with expectations of the job, whatever it is, like, stuff completely fair. If it's something work related, like, let's figure it out. But you mentioned earlier communication, and like the last couple of years, especially, I used to think I was a really good communicator because I could speak on stage and I could like hobnob at conferences. And then it was like, oh no, like actually communicating your feelings, communicating your emotions, like these things, these abstract concepts, and just being open and communicative and not feeling like you have to show up in a chameleon version of yourself to hit other people's expectations. And it's like, now I just am myself, and then the output is there. But having those conversations with folks who are in a burnout phase and trying to figure out which way to go, I kind of like those conversations in the sense that, okay, there's someone who's at a fork in the road, and I can hopefully give a couple of nuggets that will help them figure out which door to go through. I've never wanted to, like, if I have to twist your arm and beg and plead you to stay, like, I want people who want to be here. Right. And, there's no expectation. We're in our early 30s. It's like, we're not going to retire from the companies that we are at now, right? So that's the same for everybody around us. So just trying to be helpful in that sense with helping somebody sort out as just kind of as objective. You always have the company interests in mind because that's what you're getting paid to do. But trying to help somebody go through that process. And if it's somebody you want to keep, then to your point, if there's negativity, you combat that with the positives and focus on potential. But it's really frustrating whenever you see potential and someone just doesn't show up to execute on it, and there's a big gap there. Yeah, it's frustrating because it's like, I see the greatness that you can have in terms of success here in this environment, and all it takes is you just kind of showing up and checking these boxes every day.
Yeah.
And you
plan and realize the outcomes. And that's a whole other thing. Like, you have to, as a salesperson, you need to have that conversation with yourself, right? I think the guys that have had longevity in this business have been able to have that conversation with themselves oftentimes before it gets to the point of, them taking it to their manager or their director, because they understand that, well, time in the seat is going to help me become more successful. And they, you have a level of acceptance around what the growing pains are and how you're going to have to grow as a person in order to be able to grow as a sales professional. And so instead of coming and saying, hey, like, I'm really burned out and this, and I want to leave, it's like, it's a different conversation now. They've already had that conversation with themselves, and they say, I want to be here and I want to be successful. I see what we're doing. This is what we're doing really well. But in order for me to get to, this next level of production, this is what I'd like to see, right? That's a whole different conversation. And instantly it lets you both know that, well, one, they've already outwardly said that they still want to be here. It completely takes that temperature down. You know that you're not going to have to, resort to trying to convince them to stay potentially or something like that. But I just think that the guys that have had the longest legs in this business, they're having that conversation with themselves before it gets to that point, because you got to reframe your personal priorities. If your personal priorities are to have a great career and make money and have a certain lifestyle, then it will, if you just reframe it in that way, right, it'll let you be really objective as to whether or not this is the place to be, right? This is the fight I want to keep fighting, or there's better opportunities for me in the market right now that I need to pursue. And that's it, right? It becomes really simple. In my opinion, it becomes really simple once you reframe it like that.
Yeah. Do you know one thing I'm never going to get burned out from?
What's that?
Sitting on the cast couch doing a pod with you.
Oh, yeah. What a wrap.
Beautiful.
Exquisite.
We did it.